All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are coming from. Welcome to the ArcGIS Parcel Fabric Meetup. Today we're going to discuss what's new in ArcGIS Pro 2.7 and ArcGIS Enterprise 10.9, and we are recording. So, my name's Dan Stone. Some of you might know me from my past life. In the past, I was a consultant in Esri's Professional Services. And since last November, I've enjoyed my new role as the ArcGIS Parcel Fabric product manager. So what I'd like to do today is really start off by introducing you to the rest of the team. So a lot of you know Amir. He's been doing this for many years. We also have Terry, Tim, Kelvin, Azat, who never sent me a picture, so I told him I would make him into an elf. We have Christine, Ken, Jason, and at the top we have Amy with a retro picture. But it's very appropriate because these are Santa's helpers that have been busy trying to get 2.7 out with a bow so that you guys can have this under your tree in the next couple of weeks here. So before we go into a lot of the presentations, what I would like to do is talk a little bit about GeoNet and the Parcel Fabric place. So a lot of you post questions out on GeoNet, also go out there to look for answers to questions that you might have. But you may have noticed that recently there has been an update to the GeoNet and specifically in the Parcel Fabric place. But it's a whole new platform that we've rolled out. So wanted to introduce a couple things. First one, ArcGIS Parcel Fabric blog. So this is where you can go out and look at some of the information that the development team and myself have put out there. I recently created one on how to license your parcel fabric. I know Amir's got some out there on how to have the record name show up in a pop-up instead of just the GUID. We have the ArcGIS Parcel Fabric questions, which is where you can submit questions and they're monitored by the team and the community. So we may not be one of the ones responding. It may be a fellow colleague out there that's going to respond and provide an answer to your question. Then we also have the Parcel Fabric documentation. And out there you might find code examples, PowerPoint, map packages. So a lot of different samples are provided out there as well. Then there's the ArcGIS Parcel Fabric videos. To date, I think we have about 26 hours, if not more, of video content out there that is explaining how to create a parcel fabric, how to create your parcel types, how to do COGO entry with the Traverse tool. So there's a lot of different videos out there, which is a lot of good content. I highly recommend going out there and looking at some of the videos we have. And then we have the ArcGIS Parcel Fabric ideas. And this is an area that I think all of y'all should really concentrate on and pay attention to. For ArcGIS Pro and really for ArcGIS, this kind of reminds me of back in the day when you would attend the user conference and Jack would give you $100 and say, if you had this $100, where would you spend it? So there's two ways to actually get your ideas into the product. One would be to request an enhancement request through technical support. And the other way is to submit it through the ArcGIS ideas, and specifically for us, the ArcGIS Parcel Fabric ideas. And some of the statistics I saw was that for, say, every 2 enhancement requests that went through technical support, there was about 36 that were implemented from the Parcel Fabric ideas page. So we monitored this, and this is what we look at to see what is the user community asking for. So I highly encourage you to go out there and submit your ideas. A couple things before you submit though, make sure that you're using the right idea exchange. If it's Parcel Fabric related, make sure it's going into Parcel Fabric. If it has something to do with geoprocessing, you might want to look at the geoprocessing labels to enter your idea. The other thing is the ideas are for request only. So submit your questions to the question board instead of the ideas board. Another thing is make sure that the ideas are a single idea. In other words, don't create an idea that has like 5 or 6 different bullets combined together. It makes it hard for us to decipher which one are you really asking for. So if you have a bulleted list in your ideas, make sure each one of those is a separate idea. So, you know, maybe it's something like, I want to enhance the Traverse tool to do X. And then you had another bullet that says, and I would like labeling to do, you know, this. Separate those into separate ideas so that we can actually separate those and identify them. And then number 7 up there is the community, which provides you the structure of all the different places that you can go to. So whether it be products or industry. And this is kind of a dynamic board in that the more times people visit the ArcGIS Parcel Fabric, is they will show up here in the communities list. So if you want to get to the Parcel Fabric quickly, all of us have to be using the Parcel Fabric space so that it'll show up here, that we can see people are visiting that site. So with ArcGIS Pro 2.7, I am proud to say that I believe we have reached ArcMap equivalency. So everything that was capable in the ArcMap Parcel Fabric, we are now able to do in the ArcGIS Pro Parcel Fabric. If there's a item that you think otherwise, that's something that we definitely want to hear back from. And that could be through the ideas page, or you can contact me directly as product manager. That's one of my tasks, is to gather requirements and bring these to the development team. So how would I get started if I'm using ArcMap, or if I'm just using AutoCAD, or maybe I'm just using ArcMap simple feature classes, and you want to get started with the ArcGIS Parcel Fabric? I would first contact your Esri account manager and start the discussion with them. They can lead you to solution engineers that can possibly take a look at your data. They can connect you with Esri professional services, and they can also connect you to our business partners that can actually help you with your upgrade or your migration. As I discussed a few minutes ago about the videos that are on GeoNet, that is a really good resource to start with. Go watch the videos that are out there. The ones that we have on our GeoNet place are only on the ArcGIS Parcel Fabric. So all the ArcMap videos have been moved to another location. And then go out and read the Parcel Fabric help documentation. Get familiar with the concepts and how the Parcel Fabric operates. And then I would start with either a prototype or a proof of concept, and do a partial migration or a partial upgrade so that you can get familiar with it. Maybe now is the time that you've been using the LGIM and you're thinking that you want to add another parcel type or kind of change up your schema. This might be the time to do that. With the ArcGIS Parcel Fabric, we have a very flexible data model that allows you to configure that exactly to your needs. And then if there's something missing, let us know. If there's something preventing you from adopting this capability, let us know, and do that through the ArcGIS Parcel Fabric page, or through letting your account manager know. And if all else fails, you can always reach me at dstone@esri.com. So with that, Amir, are you ready?
I think I'm ready, Dan, for the 2.7 celebration. You'll have to stop sharing your screen, and then I'll have to find the share screen button. And I don't know which one is harder. Okay.
Did you get it?
I think so. And I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
We did for a second. It just disappeared. There
okay.
It is.
Do you see ice creams?
Yes.
Wonderful. It's winter. So thank you, everybody. It is kind of a celebration for our team. Pretty festive. Once every half a year, we get to show what we've been working on, and we hope you like it. So all from our little houses. This is a list. We're going to go over this in a bit more depth. So if you need to just have a high-level list to send to your manager, just copy-paste this. You'll get these slides afterwards in GeoNet. So there's new features. There's features that have been approved, and there's new capabilities that we did nothing to get them. We just utilized them that other teams created in Pro, and we're going to kind of give you a glimpse of all of those. So before we go into the demo section, I just want to go over a sticky point of the matching of the Parcel Fabric version that you can see here on the left with the ArcGIS Pro release that you see here in the middle and the Enterprise release. We mandate that if you're using 2.4, you need Parcel Fabric version 1 and server 10.7.1. If you use Pro 2.5, it's not guaranteed that you can work with a 10.7.1 server. And the reason for that is that we changed the REST API between 7.1 and 10.8. This is why one of the reasons we locked the version. Another reason is that the schema sometimes change. We actually dropped, I think, one field from version 2 to 3. We dropped it, so I don't want to name it. And we added a bunch of more fields and new functionality and actually new tables to support the adjustment with version 3. So we maintain this table, and now it's easy for you just to say, I want to target 2.7, I need Enterprise 10.9 and Fabric version 4, for example. Now, this kind of locking also helps us with testing, of course, because if you can think about 4 permutations of fabrics, 4 permutations of Pro, 4 permutations of Enterprise, plus 3 DBMS platforms, I think that gives you 196 permutations. So it reduces that amount, and it helps, of course, quality go up. But our vision is to allow and start freezing up on both on Parcel Fabric version and the Enterprise version. So 2.7, what we plan now is that 2.7 and 2.8, which will come around user conference around June, will both use the 10.9 Enterprise version of the server, and maybe 2.9 as well, we'll see. But for this next release, 2.8, we think that it's going to use the same Parcel Fabric version, so no schema changes on the Parcel Fabric, as well as no changes to the Enterprise. And we'll continue to extend that as we stabilize and we add less new functionality and new schema changes. So just to be aware of that, this document, help document, I put a screenshot here, will become available when 2.7 is released. So another thing that we did, part of the, and maybe Christine will show it, but to make it easier for you to also select the right DBMS flavor, right? Whether it's on the Azure cloud or on-premise, SQL, Postgres, Oracle, you have the version numbers in an easy read. So if you're administrators, that makes your life easier, and also another clarification on licensing and deployment area that also lets you know how to deploy it. Of course, if you are a single user using a file database, your licensing story is very simple. Just have standard or advanced, and you can just use the Fabric. So let's now move to the what's new 2.7 a bit in more depth. We'll also see a lot of demos on all of this. So the focus of 2.7, one of the drivers was quality. Quality, of course, as we know, parcels are the most important feature class in the geodatabase, and it is the basis for many other data sets in the system of record, and therefore quality is important. We now have a records tab that you already know for record-driven workflows, and we have a second one for quality. That makes it easier for you to find the right tool. It gives you us more real estate. So if you're doing a least square adjustment to improve the spatial accuracy, it's a quality, or evaluate it, it's a quality-driven workflow. If you want to create a record, merge, split, and so on, it's the records tab. So you can see here tools that allow you to evaluate and allow you also to fix common issues. And you can see some new tools on here that we'll certainly show you soon. And tool that used to be called the Mean Parcel Points in ArcMap, not because it was mean, but because it used to average the point location, is now called the Merge Parcel Points. You asked in ArcMap to allow you to select where it goes to. So this tool allows you to do that. It also shows you a slick preview. It's a bit addictive. I forgot if Amy or Jason are going to show it soon. And another great thing that it does, it also lets you collapse courses. So if you have those little annoying segments that you just want to get rid of, if you just merge the points, you basically, and you check this option, you can actually clean that up as well. So that's a great cleanup tool, and allows you also to get rid of small slivers if you want to do it one by one. Merge collinear parcel boundaries. In the ArcMap terminology, that would be the merge courses. We don't use that terminology anymore, and we don't have line points anymore. But this tool will allow you to merge lines that are collinear to each other. They could be curves as well. And the tool will also delete all the points that are between those lines. It's a great tool to run if you have, let's say, identified curves and that you see a lot of points. You can run this tool and create basically one line feature out of that. It will still have a lot of vertices where points used to be, but then you can run the second tool, the simplify by straight line and circular arc, and actually create a true curves from that. It's also a good tool, we think, in automation of digital submission of CAD data to clean it up. And this is the reason we made it into a geoprocessing tool, so it can scale. You can run it on a large data, and you can also use it for automation. Is it better than ArcMap? We think it is. It gives you much more flexibility. You can look at the new diagram here that Christine updated for the conceptual diagram for Parcel Fabric information model, and you can see that we have the topology as we used to have before, but we have a new box here called attribute rules. So we deprecated the concept of having our own rules. We basically rely on topology rules and attribute rules. And the rule that used to be called must have a record is still a rule, but it's now an attribute rule, as well as another rule that we use to help us preserve points if they are worth preserving when you delete a parcel for whatever reason. So those are system tools. They are applied to your data when you create a parcel fabric. And all of those tools are fully configurable. So if you want to add another topology rules, you can. You want to add another attribute rule or even delete one, you can. It's all fully yours and it's fully configurable. But beyond that, we've been hearing that you want additional rules, attribute rules to validate your data. Let's say compare your shape area with your legal area. Minimal size of a parcel, maximal size of a parcel, minimal distance, minimal radius, whatever that is. And this is why we now ship the software with a CSV file, which is the exchange format for attribute rules. And this would allow you to basically opt in. If you like the rule, you can delete rules that you don't want to use, update the settings, and you can just start using the rules you want. And we also know that there's probably going to be new rules, so submit your ideas and let us know what's missing, and we'll try to provide that as flexible as possible. We'll also have a next meetup on Arcade to get you started with Arcade, and another one on attribute rules, so you can even create your own. And I'm sure that's going to become very popular with everybody. This feature used to be called Associated Feature Adjustment in ArcMap, basically allowing you to adjust other data sets within your geodatabase based on movements in the parcels. Why do parcels move? Well, it could be as small as a small alignment, and it could be area wide as a least square adjustment. For whatever reason parcels move, you could apply those movements to other feature classes. But the problem was in ArcMap that you can only apply it to data within your geodatabase. So if you're a county and you want other cities, and the cities want to be aligned to the county data, that becomes a problem because they don't have access to your geodatabase. So here we've solved it by allowing anyone to run this geoprocessing tool, and they don't need to have a parcel fabric, using a read-only parcel fabric that's published, and generating links and anchor points from the published serviced parcel fabric. We are leveraging the temporal nature of branch versioning for that, and we'll see a demo of that soon. And you don't have to apply it to the entire county data, just where you need it, to the extent you need it, and so on. And we'll see a demo and we'll explain that. And we think that will be very beneficial. Select parcel features lets you select a few polygons, parcels, and with one click of a button, get to the lines and the points that define those parcels. So there's many use cases that could come handy. You select the parcel, or you want to update the COGO. Selecting lines is hard. That's going to give you easy access to the parcel lines, so you can apply other tools. And we don't have really the ArcMap notion of opening a parcel. The parcel is always there. There's no closed and open parcel. You can always view the attributes and update them of a line, of a of a polygon whenever you want. But that's probably the closest thing to open parcels. If you want to know what defines a parcel, just select it with this tool, and you'll see in the attribute pane, for example, you can see what defines that parcel. It could be, of course, lines from many other records. Some highlights of things we improved in this release. So another big push on the align parcel tools. So I think you'll all be very happy to see the preview. It's still not perfect, but it's very, very sleek. And it's good kind of preview of where things will move once you press the align button. We also have point to edge snapping. So you'll see some feedback for that, like you see here on the bottom. So you know that you don't have to add another link there. It's going to do it for you. And another big thing, of course, is curve-to-curve alignment. So this is the go-to tool, and we will make sure that 99% of the use cases, it's a minimal number of clicks to align parcels. It also supports now overlapping parcels. So if you have a point that's shared with other overlapping parcels or with a connection line, if that point moves, everything moves with it. And if you see a link that you should not be created, so it found the closest point, but it find the wrong point, you have another slick tool to delete both links and anchor points that should not have been created if you when you review it. So we'll see a quick demo of that. Based on an idea, and again, thanks Dan for stressing that point that Frank Conkling from Panda Consulting submitted about a year ago, I want to say. Frank has been doing a bunch of migrations for customers to Pro, and every time he needed to do that, the way we create records is using a string field called record name. You have to add a field called its record name, calculate the values into that field from potentially multiple fields, and then run the tool and then get rid of that field. So Frank's idea was, instead of that, just give me the ability to use an expression. So now you can use an expression, which makes it a one-step process, very easy, very flexible. You can apply it to fields that are actually not textual fields. And it makes data migration even easier than it is anyhow. Traverse. So another push on Traverse. People, especially people outside of the parcel community, sometimes have to enter a method bus description to create a polygon. They do not care about the measurements. They don't keep the lines. They just want to create a polygon. And for that reason, now the Traverse now supports the feature templates for polygons. You can select and create a polygon. For us, if you care about your measurements and you ever want to see them, adjust them, print them, of course, we use the lines and build afterwards instead. But for those others, you can enter polygons. And another small but maybe very useful, we've been getting many questions from users about how to COGO, chord bearing, tangent bearing, and so on. And it's all in the help doc. It's been there for quite a while, long time, but now we have a quick link that takes you directly into how to enter a traverse. So when you forget those shortcuts or tips and tricks, you can see all those great examples that Christine put in and get up and running. And another small but very beneficial enhancement is to persist the choice of, let's say, the curve parameter. If you're using arc length, great, but what if you're using usually chord length? So you can use this drop down and switch it. It will remember your choice, and next time you go around, it's going to default to your last saved used choice. That also applies to the direction type here. So small enhancement, but great benefits. Things that you need to know that came from other teams. I think Amy will show us some of that. Inference for editing. If you know CAD, what inference is. If not, you'll see it soon. Many tools became more COGO aware. That means they do the right COGO thing. If they, for example, split the line, they'll need to proportion the dimensions and so on. So another push in that direction. So you can easily switch between using a traverse to any other editing constraint and so on, or editing tool, and know that they do the right thing. GNSS support. So when we started working on GIS, probably we worked with big desktop machines or ArcInfo machines, and nowadays you can install Pro on a Microsoft Surface, that's a tablet, and you can actually take it to the field. So desktop is not anymore really desktop, and mobile can be a tablet too. But anyhow, GNSS, like GPS, Galileo, GLONASS, there's different constellation, is now supported in ArcGIS Pro. You can connect and pair it with an antenna. It supports the NMEH stream, which has all the metadata about the accuracy, the PDOP, HDOP, and so on of coming from the receiver, and in real time start using it to create or update features. That means that you can sit in your car, take Pro to the field, have someone run with a Bluetooth antenna around the car and take survey points. In Pro, you can even take a map offline and capture points. So just putting it out there, you can see here some of the interface, and this capability will get enhanced in the next release to include more functionality. Another thing that people have been asking for is support. This requirement, I want a user of one group to update a certain area, but a user of another group can only update the other area, for example, or this group can only update the tax parcel, that group can only update the other one, and that's a bit tricky, but the point is that you now can use arcade expression to find the user name that is connected, as well as the groups they are associated with. And that gives a lot of power, because you can use rules to constrain edits by certain type of users or users that belong to a certain group. Or if your name Amir, you can do a arcade script. If your name is Amir, don't let Amir edit. But another one that is interesting is access to the version name. So that allows you, for example, to leave the default version as public so people can reconcile and post to it, but prevent them, constrain them from performing any edit if the version name is called default. And of course, because it's arcade, you can use any of those in other things like pop-ups and labeling as well, if it makes sense. Link charts is something we've been playing with. They allow you to explore a relationship between entities, in this case parcels. We can see here parcel 12 became parcel 33, 34, and then some split again. And you can see now on the right side that you can actually see that in a link chart that parcel lineage. And there's so many capabilities in Pro. People think that it's some magic, but they've always been there. Like time enabling your parcels will allow you just to scroll through time and see how parcels changed very graphically. You can also, of course, with branch versioning, move to a specific moment, but that's, of course, more interactive and much more fun to move the slider. So that's just some things that are worth learning that exist. We'll probably have another meetup just to talk about how you can move parcel data to other environments, from production to publication, offline to mobile, back, and so on. So these capabilities we've been experimenting with, and we've been hearing some requirements about that. And we'll probably have a meetup to show you how you can use a collaboration between your on-premise server to ArcGIS Online, and have the publication environment show the parcels you want to show with maybe a database view, and how you can take data offline. Maybe you have unreliable internet at your home, or power outages coming because there's fire in California. So all these kind of use cases might be applicable to you and worth knowing how to use them. When you open 2.7, the first thing you'll see on the first screen is more access to resources, whether you want to go to GeoNet, to our place, to the Parcel Fabric place, and submit the idea or submit a question. You have direct access from here, as well as getting started from ArcMap and discovery paths that are relevant to you, and so on. So it's all there, makes it easier, whether you're a new user to Pro completely or coming from ArcMap, should find it easier. We talked about, this is the roadmap that is current now on GeoNet. Near term, you'll see that those things are coming. Just want to highlight that Workflow Manager is now service-based, the next generation, which opens a very many new workflows, interesting, like digital submission on the web, creates a job, creates a version, submit a file, goes to the files in the job, gets then moved into maybe a staging file GDB that moves into a named version later to be QA'd and etc. So many new possibilities with the service-based workflow manager that's coming out, as well as knowledge graphs that might explore relationships between entities like parcels to their owners or owners to their parcels and etc. So new capability that's coming. For us, for the near term, all those checked features you'll probably see today. There's more features like improvement to the head over display for the records, the active record that you see. So we have great ideas to improve that there, to make it more efficient and productive. A tool to create backlots, a tool to transfer land and kind of annexation that clips from one and merges with the other. Could be one to many as well, or many to one. More work with digital submission, parcel lineage, traverse report, and additional adjustment methods for traverse, cartographic processing to make sure after you run an adjustment, things are still look pretty much parallel and orthogonal if they should. And of course, our long-term goals and drivers are still here. We'll take small bites of them as we go, and some we already do today. And if you only wanted to know what's new without seeing a demo, you can leave now. But if you want to see some demos, you are welcome to stay, and we have quite a few demos today. And the first demo with the neighbors to the north, depends where you are, might be in Alaska, but parcel map in British Columbia, Canada. There's a big project they use currently, ArcMap, but and you can learn more about it in their website. I actually found some interest. There's more here and about the project, and you can also see the parcel types they use, which is also and who it's used for, and the parcel type they use and how they assess their spatial accuracy and digital submission. So it's all very cutting edge. They even have a map that we probably are going to ask them that displays the spatial accuracy you can expect in different areas of British Columbia, that is interactive and so on. So, and where they plan to improve the spatial accuracy. But one thing that British Columbia was doing with ArcMap is exporting their vectors so other agencies can adjust their data to the authoritative source of parcels, basically. And here we'll see a demo of that. So here we see an area in Kelowna, British Columbia, and those colorful mosaic is actually everything is slow with me today, but I hope the network is good enough. But this is land use, basically, codes. So there's residential, I'll just have to do my demo very slowly now. So every click counts because it's a bit sluggish. I'm remoting to another machine here. So here we can see that the parcels and the land use, the yellow in this case, which is residential use, there's parking, public use, and industrial here, water. They don't align with the parcels, potentially because the authoritative source has been changed. I'm going to log out. So I'm the city of Kelowna now. I don't have Parcel Fabric here. I have a Parcel Fabric that's read-only, no versioning capabilities, but I consume the parcels as read-only. Now I can generate links in this location based on a time window. So I can specify the input Parcel Fabric that is published. I can specify where the links and anchor points, which are also called identity links, will be written to. I can specify the nuisance tolerance. Let's say I just want links if the movement is more than 1 centimeter in this case. If it's less than that, I don't care. I don't have to run it on the entire province of British Columbia. I can only specify the limit of my area, and I can specify the time window. And when I press run, it will go to the service and use those 2 moments in time to generate links and anchor points. And we can see them generated in the default geodatabase. Let's add them both to the map. And give them some meaningful symbology. and we can see that they actually look right. And this link will take this edge of the land use to the correct location. So if we wanted now to apply to the data, all we have to do is to rubber sheet the data. We're going to use the links from the map and the anchor points. And if I ever want to demo that again, I'll press the undo and press run. And as you can see, the data is being adjusted. So now the land use is adjusted with the parcels, and that's great. And that's exactly what this tool is meant to be. So this will keep keeping data of other agencies. We can do undo and redo with the parcel data, the authoritative source. So this is one exciting capability. Let's look at the next one, alignment of parcels. So it's very easy. We just go select the parcel, select align parcels, and press generate links and align. That is that easy. No gaps, no slivers. Now I'll do it a bit slower. Okay, so let's undo this and I explain what happened here. So we already the parcels that move are the selected one. We press generated links within the tolerance that can be seen. It is a bit too big here. We could have used a bit smaller tolerance. And we generated links that we can see here. These are the sizes. If we didn't like any link, we can use now this new interactively tool to just click on links and delete it. We can also add new links if we think something is missed. And that's it, basically. That's all. And when you press align, it will move. You can also toggle the selection to the surrounding parcels. So now it's the surrounding. And if we press generate links, you see the preview and press align, and it will get aligned properly to where it should be. Let's see another example that shows another new cool feature. So let's move to these parcels here. And I'm gonna, again, those are very, I know it's a big gap and it's not real data, but it's just to illustrate how you can align, and we use this for testing. So we have, again, the green selected, and the edge of the gray is not straight. You can see that. And when we generate links, you can see those dashed points. Those are the edge, point to edge snapping. So that tells you don't need to add a link here. There's two links created here of 5 feet and 506. And when you press align, it shows you how things will move. We know we have some work to do in the preview, but in general, it gives you a pretty good, in real use case, it gives you pretty good picture. And then let's say in the example, it uses a bit of more real data. And another thing that came on GeoNet, here's a control point and a connection line to this point here. And we'll zoom to this area here. You can see that there's a gap between the parcels. It's very tiny here, but there is a gap. And that the connection line is connected to the green parcels here. So that's just to show you that before. Oops, zoom a bit too much. And we'll select now the green parcel, and this tolerance is probably too big. Let's zoom over here to see if it's correct now. 4 feet, and it looks like it's capturing the right points. We'll press generate links, and you can see the wonderful dashed line that shows you the preview. You can see those stripped dashed lines that shows you the point to edge snapping that will occur. So I know I don't need to put any point there. And all I need to do now, basically, after explaining, is press align, and it gets aligned. And if we zoom now, we'll see that everything is aligned. The connection line moved with a point. If there was a stacked parcels on top, it would move as well. And these are the enhancements to the align tool, align parcels tool. And again, if you find that you have use cases where you want more surgical control of what moves to what, you can always switch to the align features tool, which will give you that capability to close tiny gaps. and help you with that as well. So we don't lock you from using other tools. And the last demo for me before I pass it on is the GP to create parcel records. And that's part of the data migration to create record data before you build. If you are lucky to have all your recorders numbers associated with every parcel, great. But if you don't, you can use the new option. We'll go to the Analysis tab. And you can actually use the History trick again. Yep, create parcel records. So if you look now, the records layer is turned on. It's empty. There's nothing there. If we look on the parcel here, that we'll get the pop-up. And in the pop-up, you'll see, what do you see? Just certain fields that open the attribute table for parcels. I want to show you the field. It's in Dutch, but I'll translate it. You can see that there's, let me move this aside a bit. Basically, the way that parcels are mentioned in the Netherlands are by cadastral municipality number code. In this scenario, it's Delft 00, and then the section number, which is a letter. In this case, it's Y. You can also use book and page. You can use the left X number of characters in a parcel name. I used it in another cadastral agency. They have two fields, one for the year in which the plan was recorded, and then the sequential numbering code. The combination of the two is a unique combination. So anything that creates the required unique combination, in this case, you can choose between a field or the expression. And what we do here is just combine the municipality and the section code and press run. And this is running now on a few thousand parcels to create the records based on that and associate them to the newly created records. And if it all works well, we should see some blue up lines, and sure enough, here they are. And here we can see the different records in this sample data. So that will make the data migration even easier. And I think now I can stop sharing and pass it to the next presenter.
I believe that is me.
Excellent. Now, where's the button to stop sharing?
I can grab it from you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason.
Let's see. Looks like you see this screen.
Yep, see a globe.
And now you see my login back to my remote desktop.
We all know how that feels.
Yep. All right. Okay. So the first thing you'll probably notice when you get when you install 2.7 and you open it up for the first time, the first thing you'll notice that's different is the new tab that we have at the top of Pro. We have the Records tab, and then we have the Quality tab. The Quality tab now contains all workflows and tools that can be used during quality workflows. And what that means is that you do not have to have an active record. So in all these workflows that you'll see here, I will not have an active record, and we can perform these different quality workflows to do our work. So the first thing we want to just kind of touch on is, let's just look at the Quality tab. We've got the evaluation group here. This has all the topology tools like the fix error tool, the error inspector, being able to validate. We have our normal selection grouping, and we have our tool gallery here where we have our quality tools promoted to the top area. Of course, if I click the down arrow here, we'll see all the remaining modified tools, but in our quality group in the favorites on the top here, these are the tools that can be used during quality workflows. And now you'll notice that we have a least squares group. Prior, you had to go to the GP tool or GP pane and browse to the least squares tools. Now you can easily get to them. For example, by clicking consistency check, it'll open up analyze parcels by least squares adjustment with consistency check already selected. If you click weighted, it opens up the same tool, but now with weighted selected. And then finally, we have apply least squares adjustments, which will open up that geoprocessing tool. So let's go ahead and just take a look at, let's do like a topology fix, for example. So let's turn on our dirty areas, and I could just quickly go up here and say validate topology. I can do validate extent, or I can even use the validate specified extent. This is kind of a fun tool. I don't know if many people have used this, but you can click this and just drag a box around a certain area, and it's going to validate within that little drag box that you've done. We can see I have a missing point here, so I can easily go and click on the fix error tool, click on that point, and say create feature, and it just fixes my error by creating that point feature that was missing there, and I can continue on with my work. So let's go ahead and turn off the dirty area layer, and let's go ahead and do a quality workflow. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in where that missing point was at. And we can notice here we have our tax parcels and our conveyance division parcels. They don't exactly line up here. We can use the new Merge Points tool to fix this in this area. The Merge Points tool is a new pane within the Modify Features. It says select 2 or more parcel points and make a selection just like this. And even though I have lines selected, it's smart enough to know that these are the 2 points that I'm wanting to utilize. We've got a nice preview here, so you can see where the resulting geometry is going to go once I merge. So I could choose to preserve this point position, or I can choose to preserve this point position. I'm going to go ahead and click merge, and then the points are merged together. Now, it's also important to note that if you notice that there was a bunch of attributes here too, so the new point that gets created at the end, I could also attribute that point. And you should also take note that if there's a control point in the situation, if for example I have just a fabric point that's being merged with a control point, the control point will always take precedent in terms of preserving its attributes. So when the merge points is completed, the control point will remain, or the fixed point will remain afterwards. That will maintain all the attributes of the fixed point. Let's do another merge point demo. Go to bookmarks, and let's go to this area here. So in this area, if I zoom in here, I'll notice that according to my authoritative source, my legal document, that these 2 areas, this line here is a short segment that did not exist in the data. It should actually be going straight down from here down to this next line below. So the merge points tool can also be utilized to merge these points together. Notice there is a line segment in between these 2 points. So what's going to happen to that line segment? Well, we have an option down here to allow the removal of lines and polygons between merged points. So in this case, there's a small line segment, so it's going to remove that segment. So you can see this is the preview. This is the point that I'm wanting to preserve. If it was the other point, I could have chosen this one, and it would have moved this parcel over to here. But in this case, I'm wanting to preserve this one, and I'm going to click merge. And you can see the line segment has been removed, the points have been merged into one, and the polygon geometries have been moved over to their new positions. So the last tool that I want to show off is the Merge Boundaries tool. So let's go to a new location here. So in this area, I have this parcel, this tax parcel right here, and on the northern edge, I have lines that should be merged together into one line segment. Now, if you noticed this workflow, I just selected the tax polygon, but for the merge boundaries, you can see it's grayed out because I don't have any lines selected. So I need to have the line selected that I want to merge the boundaries of. So to get these lines, to easily get these lines, I can simply click Parcel Features. What this is going to do is it's going to select all the features that bound this parcel. So for all the line features that are basically associated to the record that this parcel is associated to, and it's also going to select the points. So I'm going to select Parcel Features, and you can see now that I've done that, my Merge Points tool is still open, and that creates some really wacky previews. So I'm going to go ahead and back out of that. and I'm going to click Merge Boundaries. So here's a new Merge Boundaries GP tool. It's very simple. It's going to ask me for the input parcel boundaries and then the tolerance. You'll notice that I can now just select the tax lines. I can set my offset tolerance, and I can hit OK. So as that's completed, you'll notice now that I have one line segment on the top and one line segment on the right-hand side. So there's another line that needed to be merged here. You'll also notice that the COGO measurements no longer exist there. That's because new line features were created. So to continue this workflow, I can take those line features, go to the modify pane, and update the COGO measurements of those line features so that we now have the new COGO measurements based on the calculated geometry of those lines that were created. I can go in and edit those, of course, to match the legal document, but that is one way to get your COGO measurements back onto those line features. And with that, I think that's the end of my demos. So I believe Amy is the
Pretty cool, Jason.
next.
How come lots and tax parcels didn't line? I never saw that one before. Just kidding.
I was like, wait, what? You just did a demo of things not aligning.
I think everybody
All right.
knows. Everybody's seen lots and tax parcels that don't align in their life.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
All right,
Christine
so
that's next. With
is it
attribute.
Christine that's next? All right. All right. All right. How do I stop sharing now?
Yeah, that's the problem, right?
Yeah, I don't see the stop sharing button. I can switch to, I'll make Christine a presenter. That gets rid of me.
Yeah.
Verify presenter change. Yes. Okay, now
Okay, show my screen.
it's
Can
weird.
somebody let me know if they can see anything on my side?
Yeah, we can see the parcels, the yellow ones.
Okay, great. Okay, so this moves us on just to talk a little bit about the attribute rules and the parcel fabric. In 2.7, we have done some work with attribute rules and the parcel fabric, as you heard Amir say earlier on. So when you create a parcel fabric or upgrade to 2.7, you will now get two attribute rules applied to your parcel fabric feature classes by default. One of those attribute rules was already there. It was on the points feature class. To see that attribute rule, you just select the points layer, right-click, go to design, and then attribute rules. That will show you the attribute rules that have been applied to that feature class. This preserve attribute rule was there in 2.6. It basically just defines how and when parcel points are deleted. You can see the logic in the expression. An example is if the is fixed field is set to 1, that point won't get deleted if its associated parcel is deleted. This is a calculation type attribute rule, meaning it will be triggered by edit operations. The other attribute rule that we now have, and I'm going to open a parcel lines feature class, is the must have a record. The parcel rule must have a record has been removed and it has been replaced by the must have a record attribute rule. This rule is now applied to parcel lines, parcel polygons, and connection lines. Note that this is a validation attribute rule, meaning you, the user, have to go and evaluate this rule in the error inspector. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So now we also have optional attribute rules that we have made available to you for the parcel fabric. So what I'm going to go and do is import those optional attribute rules. They come with your, your install of ArcGIS Pro. So I'm actually going to go and import some optional attribute rules for my parcel lines. So while I have this attribute rules window open, I'm going to go over here and say import rules. You're going to go to your installation folder. So I'm going to go find program files, ArcGIS Pro. I'm going to go to resources, and then there's attribute rules and parcel fabric. And now we see the optional attribute rules that are now available to you that you can import for your parcel fabric feature classes. I'm going to choose parcel lines. It's a CSV file. It's going to go ahead and import those rules. It will find a duplicate because the must have a record rule is already saved in that CSV file. So let's go importing those line attribute rules. And now we see them come in. Here are the optional attribute rules for parcel lines. They are all validation. There aren't any constraint or calculation at this point, just validation. You can choose one of the rules and go have a look at the arcade expression. Most of these rules are tolerance based, so it's pretty self-explanatory to find that tolerance. You can go and edit it for your data. You can also configure the rule for your data. Let's look at this one. There's some other tolerances we can go and change in this arcade expression. So I did import optional attribute rules for parcel lines. You can import them for all of our feature classes. Just something to note when you're importing rules for parcel polygons, just be aware that there are hard-coded names for the parcel polygon table. So I'm going to open that CSV file. So if you go to script expression over here in the CSV file, you do need to go and change the hard-coded parcel's name to the name of your parcel polygon table. There's only 2 of them that you need to change, but you do need to change it, otherwise it'll fail and the rest of the rules won't come in. That is documented and it tells you how to go and change that hard-coded name. All right, so now with validation attribute rules, you, the user, do need to go and evaluate them in the error inspector. Calculation and constraint attribute rules are automatically evaluated with edit operations. So for example, the preserve attribute rule will get automatically evaluated when you go and delete a parcel. It will check if it needs to preserve any parcel points. So let's close this and let's go and evaluate our validation type attribute rules. To do that, we need to add the attribute rule error feature classes to the map. So be aware now, when you create a parcel fabric or upgrade to 2.7, you now get these error feature classes that are automatically added at your geodatabase root level. All right, so you also need to be aware of that. If you are publishing, you need to add those to the map. So those are automatically created for you. We do need to add those to the map if we want to evaluate the attribute rules. So you can right-click any feature class and say add error layers. It adds them as a group error layer to the map. So let me go ahead and bring up the error inspector because I want to evaluate my attribute rules. We don't want to use the topology. We don't want to validate that. So we're going to click the drop down and we're going to click error layers. And now it changes from validate to evaluate rules. And I can click the drop down. It'll also evaluate batch calculation if you have them. We don't have any. We're just going to do validate rules, and we're just going to do the visible extent for this demo. Click evaluate rules. It's going to go ahead and evaluate, and I have created some parcels here that don't have a record just for the purposes of this demo. So we see some errors show up here, some of the line errors, the shape length must match COGO did show up for some of these lines. And then we have some parcels here with missing records. So that basically, yep.
Maybe it's worth also mentioning that 2.7 now supports validation on file geodatabases, right?
I actually was going to say that. Thanks for reminding me. So before you could only evaluate on feature services, but now you can go and do it directly in file geodatabase. And a lot of the doc has been updated to state this. And speaking of the doc, let me bring up the documentation just so you can see how to find some of the new documentation. So if you go to Get Started and you go to What's New, this is just the main documentation page. You won't see it now because it's still, we haven't released yet. So if we go to What's New in Pro 2.7, here is where you're going to see everything new that's been added, just in case you don't know that this topic is out there. It's a very useful topic. So I'm going to scroll down to Editing, and that's going to show you everything that's new in editing as well as in the parcel fabric. So we have some new stuff in the align parcels, and then it talks about our attribute rules. The new geoprocessing tools will be available under the geoprocessing heading, but I'm not going to go and look for that now. Okay, so let's go ahead and have a look at, lost my place, and let me bring up this topic here. Under manage data quality for the Parcel Fabric, we now have Parcel Fabric attribute rules. This talks about our 2 default attribute rules that automatically get applied, and then if you click this, it'll take you down to our optional attribute rules and tells you a little bit more about those rules, so you can actually go and read through the topic if you don't want to have to go and import them all just to see them. So you can go read through and see what they do. One other thing, this tells you about how you can go ahead and evaluate those attribute rules for the Parcel Fabric. Let's just go back to get started. If you do need to publish, we have updated the publish workflow to deal with attribute rules. If you have to republish and overwrite, we've got some information there as well. And then, as Amir mentioned, we have improved the administration topic, where we just try to organize the information about deployments, versions and compatibility, versions and ArcGIS platform compatibility. This is all under the deploy and license the Parcel Fabric topic. And then Parcel Fabric versions tells you about what you're getting when you use that upgrade tool to upgrade to the new release. So upgrade to Parcel Fabric version 4 will tell you what you get, and it's mostly the attribute rules that have been added. And that completes my demo. Who do I need to pass it to?
I believe it's me,
next...
Christine.
Okay.
I'll just share my screen.
All right.
How
do I do this?
I got it.
Okay.
Amy, you're good.
Thank you, Jason.
Screen monitor 2, I believe. There we go. Monitor 1.
I noticed the sharing button, the sharing tab, and the little thing on the side minimizes. That's why we couldn't find our stop sharing button.
Gotcha. So, can you see Pro?
Yep, we see it.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to talk about a little bit more of some of the editing changes, improvements, enhancements, equivalencies. So I'm going to start with the Traverse tool.
Hey, Amy, I don't see anything. I don't know if other users don't see anything, but I don't see your screen. Maybe it's.
I see.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it either. There it is.
Oh, okay. I see it on.
Now?
Yes. Now
there you go.
Interesting. Yep. See it.
Well, that was bizarre. Okay.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
Amy's in us in Redlands could see it quickly. You and Dana, you're in San Antonio, and Amir, you're halfway around the world. So maybe it took a little bit.
Just stubborn. I'm also on the west coast of Europe.
That's true. Okay, we're all good. Okay, so all the modify tools, I'm going to bring up my Traverse tool. And I can also get it up here in my tool gallery. So all the modify tools for 2.7, they've added a quick link to the help documentation about each one of the modify tools. So you can just click on the question mark in any of the modify tool panes. And in this case, for the Traverse tool, it takes us to the overall doc about what the Traverse is. But we've taken this a step further, and we've added this button down here. This is equivalent to ArcMap, where it actually takes you to the help documentation about how to enter a traverse, how to get started, what do I do? And it also gives us the shortcuts and overrides that you can use and make doing a traverse more efficient. So that was an equivalency to ArcMap. So let me go back to my map. So Another thing that was requested is to set the default curve parameters. Before we made this change, the default was a tangent. So I'm just going to go ahead and set a start location, type in a value. Okay, and you can see that we now have a drop down in the direction where we can change our chord parameters to either tangent or chord. This was also added to the help documentation for 2.7 in the Enter a Traverse doc. So here's this information about setting your data entry for your curve parameters. And this will be persisted in the project. So let me close that. So let's go back to the map. Click New. So another equivalency to ArcMap, and this has been pointed out on GeoNet and it's been in the ideas, is have the ability to traverse in a polygon. So since this is a record-driven workflow, I'm going to go ahead and create a new record. And in this area, I need to create a new subdivision boundary. I'll call this sub, and go ahead and create my new record. Now, since this is what I'm going to do in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and import a ArcMap traverse file. And, oh, wait, I totally forgot to show you guys something. So, let me click New. And undo. There we go. Okay, so in the traverse dropdown, you can now see that I have polygon layers available. So I have my tax polygon, I have my simultaneous conveyance. So I'm going to change that to my simultaneous conveyance. This is a subdivision boundary to that polygon. Now I'm going to import my traverse file. And as you can see, we're in a sketch mode. Since this is a polygon, it will be a sketch. You can also see down here we are getting misclose and calculated area information similar to when we're using lines. So since I'm in a sketch, I can go ahead and finish this sketch. And we also have the finish button in the traverse pane. So since this is a polygon, I can go ahead and use my Build Active tool to create my lines. So once I have my lines created, now I'm going to go, Jason showed this new tool. So I'm going to go ahead and select my parcel features, which is going to select my new lines. And I'm going to use the Update Kogo tool to update the Kogo dimensions on my new lines.
Emmy, we just have to make clear for everybody that's probably more efficient way for parcel people is to create actually line, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then build a polygon and not the other way around. But it's mostly for people that don't care about their measurements and just need a quick polygon.
Correct. And this was an equivalency to ArcMap.
Yep.
So there we go. And now I can obviously go ahead and do my attribution as necessary. So, all right. So the next demo I'm going to show, sorry, I had to mute myself. I have a cough. So there's been some Kogo improvements to the Edit Vertices tool. So in here, I can go ahead and let's go back to our modify features. Okay, so in this area, I want to flip this line because I'm coming up and around and I want it to go in a clockwise direction. So what I can do is I can go ahead and select this line. And I can use the Edit Vertices tool. There's a right-click option, and I can reverse the direction. So as you can see, this is being reflected in my attributes and in my COGO fields. So another thing we can do with the Edit Vertices tool, go ahead and select this line again. We can right-click, and you can also change the segment. So I'm going to change this to a circular arc. I'm going to hover over my line, use my R shortcut to type in a radius, hit enter. And as you can see, now it's updating my COGO values for that new curve. So it's also putting it into the correct attributes, and it knows that I entered in that radius, so the COGO type is now entered. So some new improvements, COGO-esque things coming into more and more of the editing tools. So my next demo is the editing team put together they developed inference constraints. Now, I was never really familiar with inference, but they're a lot of fun. So in this area, what you can do is you can turn them on down here. So mine are currently turned on, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a new COGO building footprint in lot 19. This is going to be a record-driven workflow. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new record. Okay, so I'm going to zoom into lot 19. Now I received an image which I geo-referenced, but it's really hard to see some of these dimensions. So if I'm looking at this, it looks like it's the same building footprint as these two condos down here. So with inference, what I can do is I'm going to go to my Create Features pane. I'm going to choose my parcel lines. And since these are lots, I'm going to use my conveyance division lines. I'm going to choose my 2-point line. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and I'm just going to set my start location. This isn't a conventional way of how we do parcels, as you all know, but I just wanted to show you how you can use inference. So I'm going to go ahead and set my start location. Turn off my image. And so now I can, with inference constraints, you can use features that are already in the map, or you can inference the sketch that you're doing. So in this case, I'm going to go down here and use this feature. And as you can see, I get some feedback on my screen. It's flashing a little preview, and now you can start seeing the inference rays showing up in my sketch. So what's really cool is that I can snap to these. I can snap to the edges. I can snap to this endpoint here where I have an intersection. So I'm going to go ahead and start using these to draw my building footprint. So I'm going to go ahead and click. And we got it, since this is kind of the opposite, so while I'm doing this, it would be really cool if you can put in the questions, any ideas that you have of how you would use this. So, and if anyone else wants to chime in about inference, that would be awesome. Oop, whoopsie. Undo.
So it's really great for things that are parallel or orthogonal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also useful to find an intersection point of two lines through inference. This is an area that's just coming now 2.7, and probably we'll see more enhancement to this area in the future.
Yep. So
hey,
yeah,
Amy, one of the questions was, are they copying the COGO values of those lines as well?
They are not. So that's a great idea. So maybe throw that out on ideas. So anyway, there's my building footprint. I can go ahead and I could finish this up, but in the interest of time, I'm just going to go to my records and I'm going to go ahead and create my seed and build. So anyway, if you, any ideas that you have to improve inference, like Kogo, that'd be awesome. So yeah, throw them out there. I'd love to hear some feedback on how our industry would use these inference constraints.
I think with
So
center lines, that might be a use case too.
Yeah,
Road
exactly.
center lines.
So I'm going to stop showing my screen, I think.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah.
Who's the next
And
victim? Tim?
I think it's me, yep. How's that?
Wonderful.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the Pro 2.7 SDK for .NET for the Parcel Fabric API. And the first big news, of course, is that it is no longer pre-release, so that pre-release status has been lifted. And so when, in 2 weeks, when you go to the website at the repo for the wiki, you will no longer see that red stamp that says pre-release. You will see the full-blown Parcel Fabric 2.7 SDK. So what does that mean? If you've already been writing add-ins using the pre-release, you are going to need to recompile them and redeploy them. That sounds like a lot of work, but it's probably going to not be as much work as you might think. What you would first do is just remove the references that we currently use to the internal namespaces. So you'd remove those, and then you'd look for any compile errors and fix those in the function signatures. And then you'd start to use the new and improved functions for record management, which is a lot easier now for creating seeds and shrinking seeds and parcel history and so on. So what were the enhancements that were made going from the pre-release to the final release? This kind of just falls into these 5 different categories. First of all, we provide API now for license checks to make sure that your parcel tool function calls are licensed to work. You need to put those into your add-ins, otherwise you might get an application failure when your function tries to run those tools if you're not licensed to do that. Also simplifying the creation and setting of parcel record object, that's now a lot easier. You can get the parcel feature sublayers directly from the parcel layers and the parcel feature type, parcel types from the layers and so on as well. You can also now query the feature layer to check if it belongs to the Active Maps fabric, and you can also determine if it's a ArcGIS Pro Fabric or a classic ArcMap fabric. Introduced also the ability to use a parcel edit token. What that allows us to do is access the parcel features after they've been created or modified as part of the function, and doing that as part of the same edit operation, so you don't need to listen for edit events and so on in order to do that. So that makes things a little bit easier for you. Plan for future releases 2.8 and on. We want to also add access to Parcel Fabric dataset via the fabric layer or from a table. Update parcel point locations and maintain the connectivity with the lines and polygons and so on. You can do that today, but it's a lot more coding. We want to make that a lot easier. And then also have the ability to navigate between the features going from the Parcel Fabric polygons to the points, to the lines and so on, and to the records, and then also be able to trace through connected lines. There are also, with 2.7, there is an additional community sample that's available. There was one that went out with pre-release. There are now 2 of those, and it comes with sample data as well. And I will, in fact, demo that sample that was provided by the SDK team. Wolfgang Kaiser actually wrote this sample using our new Parcel Fabric API. So thanks to him for doing that. It makes the prep for this demo very easy. So he's created a new custom tab that says parcels. And you can see that we have a nice picture of Kauai Island in Hawaii. And we have, this is the sample data that comes with, the community sample data that comes with this particular code. And if I start the import plat pane, we have a custom pane. And what we have in the map so far is an empty parcel fabric. And we have a series of lines that are just standard feature class lines. And those are annotated with a zone. I'm going to go and select lines that have a particular zone, zone 2. And you can see that he's automatically panning to that location and then selecting all the lines in that zone. Then we're going to do some further filtering and go to section 1. And it automatically pans to that location. And then we're going to go even further down into plat number 5. And we have all of those lines selected. And then we're going to go ahead and import that plat to tax parcels. And that's going to go and create, you can see that it's already created the record with plat 2-1-05, 2-1-005. And it's creating all of the lines with COGO attributes and polygons for the parcels into that tax parcel type. So you can think of this as being kind of a sample code that might help if you were doing something like a electronic submission or digital submission. It's a little bit slow here. It was working faster before, but there you go. And then once that's done, I will go copy the tax lots, the tax 2 lots, and then we will have a completed workflow.
So if people have good samples, it'd be great if you share it on the repo, right?
Yep, I'll show that in a sec. Yep. So you can see here that we now have our tax parcels created. And we have the names for the parcels, and we have our lines, including the curves with the COGO attributes and so on them. I'm going to skip out to our page here. And if we go, and this is not currently available. It will be available in 2 weeks, but this is what you will find. We'll go and take a look. Here you can see that there are some others groups in pre-release, but we are now, we'll take a look at our concepts page here. See that we have all of our documentation that covers these various aspects of what I've described, including checking for the parcel license. And then also use of parcel edit token at the bottom, and then what different types of edits are supported by the parcel edit token. And then in terms of the community samples, let's see here. This is the current community sample link. And copy it into the chat. And then there's a description at the bottom of how you can contribute to the community samples. Let's see if I can find it here. It is documented in here. I'm just not finding it right now. There's Wolfgang. Okay. Resources, detailed instructions can be found on how to contribute. So all this information is here, and I'm kind of curious to know if there are folks out there who have been using the pre-release SDK. It'd be nice to hear
Maybe write something
some
in the question, maybe in the question or directly with Tim, right? We already know of a few customers that have been playing around with it, although for automation and integration to business systems.
Yep, and with that, let's wrap it up with a little view of Hawaii. Anyone want to play the ukulele?
I think we have a few poll questions that Jason is ready to fire up.
Okay,
Yes,
let me
I
stop
am.
sharing.
All right, let's go ahead and start with the top one. I don't know if you read these poll questions, so this is new for me too. Launch. Which new capability is your favorite? This was written by someone in the US because it's a favorite with no U. We got select parcel features.
It's actually written by someone in Europe with a spell checker from the US.
There you go. Select parcel features tool.
Jason, you cannot vote on your favorite tool because we know who votes. So I'm just putting it out there.
All right. So we'll let just a few more seconds here, and I'll go ahead and close it, and we will take a look at the responses. All right, so I'm going to hit close in 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead and share the results here. So we've got a huge group of people love the Merge Parcel Points tool, followed behind by Select Parcel Features tool, and then the GP Merge Collinear Boundaries, and then the attribute rules and geoprocessing tools are also there as well. So a lot of people love the Merge Points tool being reintroduced into Pro.
The good news for us is that there's no functionality with 0, right?
That's true, yeah. All right. Which enhancement is your favorite? We've got the GP tool to create parcel records using arcade expression, the traverse to create polygons without lines, align parcels, curves, delete links, overlapping parcels. So align parcels, the ability with curves, being able to interactively delete links, and then fixing enhancements with overlapping parcels and the SDK support. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close this. There's a clear winner in this one. It's the align parcels. 75% love that enhancement.
I'm sure if we showed it in the Dev Summit, it would be different.
Yes, the SDK support would be probably vice versa in that one too. I had almost chuckled because it was at 0% for a little bit. I think maybe Tim saw that and goes, I'm going to vote for it. All right, let's go to the next one. Which technology do you currently use to maintain your parcels? Use ArcMap, Parcel Fabric, to use ArcMap, a geodatabase topology, meaning no Parcel Fabric, just using standard feature classes. Do you use CAD, ArcInfo Workstation, or are you just drawing all your parcels on a piece of paper? Creating a giant tack board with all your parcels on there, like a crime scene investigator.
Mylar. Jason, it's not a piece of paper, it's not a note.
I know. All right, so we've got, we're going to close this up here, and we've got 73% use the Parcel Fabric, followed followed behind by geodatabase topology with 24%, and a couple of you are using CAD and ArcInfo Workstation.
You know which one I forgot? I forgot to put Pro there. I just realized I forgot to put Pro, of course.
Oh yeah.
My bad. Next time.
Looks like no one's using the Mylar. Next, is there any capability that prevents you from moving to ArcGIS Pro? Yes, no, and not sure. If you do say yes, if you wouldn't mind just popping into the questions area and just typing in what this what this capability is that's preventing you from moving to Pro.
And it can be a Parcel Fabric capability, but it could be something completely with annotation or geodatabase or anything.
Yep. All right. So we've got yes at 12%, no at 65%, and not sure at 23%. So it's good to see that no is the clear leader here. Not sure, maybe just haven't had enough time to delve into ArcGIS Pro. And for those of you that put yes to 12% there, if you can pop into the questions and let us know.
Or shoot an email to Dan and tell him what's missing.
Yes, please do.
Next question, parcel editors here. If you are maintaining your parcels in ArcGIS Pro, how much time did it take you to feel comfortable? So what was the onboarding experience like for you? Was it a few days? Was it a few weeks or a few months?
So this is only for people that use the Parcel Fabric in Pro actually now. We know there's a few of you out there. And it will give everybody kind of a perception of how much time the learning curve will take.
Yeah. So we've got about 20% of the people in this room have voted, so I'm going to go ahead and close. It seems to be about the amount of people that have used Pro, and it looks like it's a little bit long here. We've got the months leading the way here. It's almost 60%. Say that it took a couple months for them to feel comfortable in using Pro, and then about 33% are at a couple weeks, and then some quick learners there say a couple days. So we know it is definitely a new piece of software. It's an overhaul, so it will take some time for onboarding, but there's plenty of good resources out there to learn how to use ArcGIS Pro, and there's plenty of good resources to contact, like Dan Stone, in order to, or we actually have training courses too.
Put it all on Dan.
Absolutely, that's what I'm here for.
Which capability would you like to see most in the next release? Please select one. So we got the backlot tool that Amir had mentioned, a tool to perform land transfer annexations, like a clip and merge, like an all-in-one tool to both clip and merge at the same time, detect and highlight gaps and overlaps, additional traverse adjustment methods, Crandall in transit, or traverse report. And I know these questions might seem, well, the point of these questions are we take this feedback very seriously. We take a lot of these poll questions and show them off to a lot of people internally here to show like what people want and where we can drive our future roadmaps and how we're driving our releases. And we're at the start of our next release right now, working internally. So this is really going to help out that process.
No pressure.
All right, so we've got a big winner here. Big winner. Detect and highlight gaps and overlaps with almost 70% of the vote.
No, the hardest one to implement.
Well, I mean, if you put the easy button on there too, if you said like, oh, would you like an easy button to just do everything for you? I'm sure that'd get 100%.
Yeah. Read my mind.
The read my mind button. But that's good. It's good feedback there. Next, when does your organization plan to upgrade to the new Parcel Fabric and ArcGIS Pro? So those of you back who are voting, who are still working in ArcMap using the Parcel Fabric, this is a question for y'all. And even those who are using the geodatabase topology, this is also a good question.
Even those using paper.
Just was it 0%? So we don't have anyone here, but people who might be listening to this recording. All right. Well, we got 45% of the people voting here. Go and close and share. Excuse me. I did not click share. There we go. 55% within the next 12 months, 2021.
And 24 already there. Together, that's almost 80%.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, in the next 2 years, 2021, 2022, and then there's a few people here in the far term categories. Very cool. All right, we've just got 3 more questions here, which we'll go through these pretty quick because I know we're a little over time. What are you required to produce map books, either PDF or printed paper? I'll give this to about 25 seconds to go through. All right. And we're about a little over 50% of the vote. Go ahead and close and share. It looks like yes, 63% are required to produce map books. So good majority of the audience here. And for those of you who voted yes on that, if you if you create map books, I thought it was just like some sort of a coding statement here. If map books equals true, can you produce them with labels, or are you still maintaining annotation?
It's not Python, I'm sorry, Jason.
They're using labels, using annotation, but can also use labels or must use annotation. Right.
Yeah, many times people use annotation because kind of they don't want to lose all the effort they already put in the last decades, right?
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's share this. Looks like they use annotation, but can also use labels, and that seems to be the majority here. But there is still a good sum of people who must use annotations, 33%. So that's still quite a bit. All right, let's hide that. And last question. If you are still using annotation, is there any functionality you are missing to allow you to use labeling? Yes and no. So once again, if you choose yes on this, go ahead and pop into the questions area and please let us know what is missing.
And our ideas, website, and
yep. Oh wow.
Oh, that's
no. Yeah, I'm kind of watching the polls go through here. No was leading quite heavily, and then things tightened up here at the last moment. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close and share. 57% say no, and 43% said yes. So
sounds like stuff is missing.
Yeah, so please feel free to let us know. Like Amir had stated, go to the not the questions, the ideas site and type those in there. And if you see your idea already there, just go ahead and give it an upvote, and maybe even chime in the comments there to give us use cases, because that's always helpful too, just to know what the use cases are for different ideas.
And then maybe to remind everybody, the next meetup is on @Arcade. So if you're new to Arcade, completely new in green, that's the right session for you just to get started. And then we're going to have another session that is geared towards attribute tools in Parcel Fabric that will take you into a few more deeper levels with using it. So, and if there's anything else you would like us to meet up on, just shoot us an email or GeoNet, and we'll organize it. And Mary,
I see just one question popping in here at the end. It says, will this recording, will this meetup here be recorded and distributed? Yes, all the meetups, including this one and past meetups, have all been recorded. They can be located on the Parcel Fabric GeoNet page. You'll find them under the videos area. I know there's been some, the UI and everything has been changed on the GeoNet page, so it might take a moment to find them, but they're all on there. You'll be able to find all our past meetups located there.
And with this one, they'll probably be over 27 hours worth of recordings.
Oh, I thought you were talking about making a joke about how long this recording has gone on for. No.
No, 27 hours worth of recordings out there.
Wow, look at that. Yeah, 27 hours worth of content.
And happy holidays, everybody.
Oh yeah, we probably will not have another meetup until the new year, right?
Yeah, right.
All right, cool. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, the meetup, this, we'll probably post this, it'll probably be up on the GeoNet site sometime maybe later today, if not tomorrow. So thank you for attending. We had a good turnout today, almost 200 people. All right. Guess we'll stop recording.